We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
We no longer live in a world of nations and ideologies, Mr. Beale. The world is a business, Mr. Beale.
Go on without me. Just go.
A good soldier never leaves a man behind.
Because I wouldn't give you 2 cents for all your fancy rules if behind them they didn't have a little bit of plain, ordinary, everyday kindness.
Life, finds a way.
Welcome to Silver Screen Biases. Each week we pick a movie off of IMDb's Top 250 and dig into it. We're examining truth claims in critically acclaimed movies while also examining our own biases. I'm Nelson.
This is Jeff.
And this week...
Double Indemnity.
Say that 3 times fast.
No.
This episode is brought to you by our community on Patreon. They make this show happen, and you can help. Links to our Patreon and merchandise are in the show notes. Now back to the show.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Not for the listeners, but for us.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
How was your Thanksgiving?
It is my favorite holiday of the year.
Because of the food, because of the family, because of both, because you're Canadian. What
Well,
aspects?
as a Canadian, I actually would celebrate on an entirely different day.
Right. Boxing Day, right?
No. Back in October.
St. Patrick's Day.
We celebrate it in October.
Independence
But I
Day.
do the American Thanksgiving now. I like Thanksgiving because of the traditions and what they represent.
The slaughter of thousands of Indians.
That is not accurate to what it represents at any point in history.
Okay. You heard it here, folks. Thanksgiving is an incredible day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the pies. I like the naps. I'm not a turkey fan. I'll eat it.
Does your family do dressing, also sometimes called stuffing?
Yeah.
Is it a wet stuffing or a dry stuffing?
It's like a meatloaf consistency. Like
is
it's
it
a thick
in the
and
bird?
dense.
Is it
no
prepared in the bird?
No, they do it separately.
Then that would be what's called a dry stuffing.
Dry stuff. Okay. I've had the stuff that's prepared with the burger instead, but it's different.
I'm not terribly afraid of undercooked meats generally, but wet stuffing is one where I'm like, okay, this is just a giant sponge inside a turkey.
Yeah.
If you didn't overcook the turkey, so then the turkey's too dry to eat.
Right.
Then this definitely isn't going to be.
Yeah.
So that my dad's made stuffing for my entire life. That like that's one thing that I need from him is the proper recipe for that because it's just insane. And he stole the recipe from my mom's sister.
Okay. Is stuffing like? I mean, the age-old question: what's your favorite Thanksgiving food?
Stuffing.
It is stuffing. Then okay, mine's got to be the potatoes and gravy.
But it's specifically my dad's stuffing.
No, understandable. Yeah, I understood.
Well, I get the love for mashed potatoes, but there's nothing about mashed potatoes that to me says Thanksgiving.
Right. I don't disagree with that, but just there's something about the buttery with the turkey gravy on top. Because like most of every other time I have.
Oh, it's probably like a beef or pork gravy.
It's like I don't get turkey gravy a lot. It's like
That's fair.
So yeah, I don't know. That's the first thing I put on my plate, and that's like the first thing I'm eating when I sit down. I enjoy. I like it all.
Yeah.
But like I just mashed potatoes and gravy, man. I love it.
No, it's all about specifically my father's turkey dressing.
My father's.
I've never had it.
He doesn't cook. Okay, well yeah.
It's probably not great then.
It's good to be back, man. I missed you. Back. We took a little break. You wouldn't notice as the listeners, but
yeah.
But
we had 2 weeks of heavy recording scheduled so that we could keep things on track for you, the listener, and we could still take a week off.
It's good to be back. I actually probably though, however, and you probably have noticed from my letterbox, I watched way more movies in the past week.
You were getting caught up, man. I saw that.
We had a lot of movie nights with my fam.
Let's pull that up and take a look. Let's take a.
What did I watch in the last week?
A trip through memory lane of Jeffrey's
Thanksgiving family night festivities.
So you've seen. We'll go through since Fight Club. Since Fight Club, you watched Captain Marvel, which you raved about in your comments. You watched The Marvels, which you gave 3.5 stars. I didn't read your review. Glowing review?
Optimistically good. Like this movie, I know, all the listeners know I get on a bunny trails when it comes to Marvel. I'm a fanboy. It didn't do well in the box office, but critic and
audience
didn't do bad. Both.
It didn't do great.
It it survived.
Critic and audience, it was like, this is fine.
The money it made does not represent how people feel about it after actually watching it.
I think that's exactly false.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
I think the amount of money a movie makes in the first 2 weekends at the box office is a pretty strong indication of how people feel about it.
But you can't say that, because like,
just did.
What's wrong with why this movie didn't make money wasn't because of the movie itself, the storyline, the entertainment. Like, it wasn't that. It was what people thought about it before they went and actually watched it. It was what people were saying about it on the news before. It was what critics were talking about it before.
Hey, I'll give you opening weekend for that, but first 2 weekends? But it is it's not only one of the lowest performing opening weekend, it is the largest drop off second weekend of any MCU movie.
And I know the stats.
If you would say just first weekend, this is an indication of people's expectations going in, I'll give you that.
I know the
stats. But the second weekend, that's when you've changed the minds if you're good enough.
Maybe.
I see you rewatched the first Ice Age.
I was with our daughter. It was with a good wintry movie.
It's a modern classic.
Yeah, I've watched it multiple times, and it's just a feel good movie. For me, it wasn't like, it's not one emotional movie like some animated movies because I can really get the feels. It was like, it's good. It's like, yeah. Then we went through Trolls.
I really love the first Trolls.
Trolls is great. Don't get to the second one yet. We're not there yet.
And you gave that 4 stars.
4 stars out of 5.
I don't know if I've rated that on Letterboxd, but I would give that. I agree with that.
That'd be 8 on IMDb.
Yep, I agree with that.
Then I watched
Barbie. I haven't got to it yet. What do you think?
It's entertaining.
Yeah,
but I don't know what to say about it, because like, I feel like this movie obviously has the tendency to jump into a political category or a soapbox category for reasons that are intentional and for reasons that, after watching the movie, are a little blown out of proportion. But in the same light, it is very much a female empowerment gold movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the goal of the movie. The casting's funny. The writing, it's comedic.
Yeah.
Obviously it does have a intention. It does have a bias. It does have a message it is preaching pretty loudly. But it's just, it and some of those points didn't hit me as a male.
Right.
So like, it didn't hit me on an emotional level. I don't disagree with the empowerment of women, and I mean, that's all, like just in general, like I agree that we're different when it comes to genders, but I'm all for like just women being treated fairly.
That's transphobic, Jeff.
Oh, I'm very transphobic.
Are you saying that the Barbie movie, which is a female empowerment movie, is de facto also trans exclusionary radical feminist?
Barbie is racist. You got.
Oh, it's racist
it's
too.
Racist. You got. Yeah, it's completely. It's don't. Yeah.
Wow.
Hide
is
your
that
kids.
why you gave it such a
Hide
high
your
score?
wife, hide your kids. I didn't. Trolls ranked higher than Barbie.
Yeah, you gave it 3.5. 3.5's not bad.
And it's entertaining. It was visually stunning.
3.5 is a 7.
So if you remove the political commentary, it was funny. Mm-hmm. It was visually stunning, and that's not just because of Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
But like just like the bright colors.
It was Ryan Gosling. That
the
was
bright colors.
Stunning.
The it being like a live action toy thing, like them, like the sets and stuff.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the world that it was in.
Yeah.
So like, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the cast.
Question before we roll into the next movie.
Yeah.
Trolls. Was that your first time seeing it?
No.
Okay.
No.
I could say that here recently.
Yeah.
But Trolls World Tour was your first time seeing it
from front to back.
Okay.
I had seen probably 2/3 of it, but I never knew how it ended.
Okay. And what did you think?
I loved it. I thought it was a great world building addition to the movie. I like the voice actors for, like, you got Kelly Clarkson in there. You've got Ozzy Osbourne's got a cameo.
Yep.
I thought it was fun. I mean, like, for a movie that is based around the idea of musical, showing your emotions through emoting through music.
Yeah.
It was only time where they tapped into other genres, and I thought they did it well. There were
or the first time anyway.
Yeah, right. There were other genres.
There's a third one coming.
It's already out.
Is it?
Third Trolls is out. That's why we watched it, because we contemplated taking our 2-year-old daughter to see it, and she sat through both of the other Trolls movies.
I don't
without
remember
moving.
how old
it's out.
Sophia was when I first took her to a movie. We could figure it out. It was Batman. Lego Batman was her first movie.
Okay.
And at the climax of the movie where Joker and Batman hug on,
2017.
and they pull together on the. She would have been 3.
She was 3. Okay.
And when they pull the island together, she yelled out in the theater, "They did it with the power of friendship."
Yeah.
Totally sincere. A bunch of other parents started cracking up.
That's amazing. Did you go to like a daytime when it was?
Yeah, it was like a Saturday matinee.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think Trolls World Tour. It bummed me out that they didn't have that. They like. I really liked the story in the first one of what were the monsters?
The Gorgons or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Feels right. The music.
Gorgonzolas.
The music in that one was so great. I loved their story. I was like, I want to know more about how does this evolve, and they're not in it at all. They're in a cameo in the credits.
Right.
That kind of bummed me out. That said, I do think Trolls World Tour really excellent movie.
I also like. I was a kid that grew up. I didn't own the game, but I had friends that had it. The last quarter of the movie felt like I was watching a live action Guitar Hero movie. Just because the set of
absolutely.
And so for me, I was like, this is kind of a cool set. Like, so it was fun. It's the music. I mean, like, I love JT and I love Anderson .Paak.
Mm-hmm.
So he's in this movie. And he did, just it's Anna Kendrick. Like, it's just a great core cast.
Yeah.
With supplying. So yeah, enjoyed that. I rated that equal with the first Trolls. Spoiler, we have not watched the third one yet. We're still indecisive whether we're going to take Jazz to see it or not. But
then you watched Madagascar.
Madagascar, yeah.
And that got 3 stars from you.
Yeah, it's just it's same with Ice Age. It's just a feel good movie. It doesn't really hit you in the feels, but just besides just good.
Yeah.
Like it's fun. I laughed. Yeah. David Schwimmer's great in that. Yeah. Like he's perfectly cast in that movie. For that character. And then finally, I watched this movie called Double Indemnity. Double Identity.
Can we run through what I've seen since the 15th?
Let's do it.
Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
Nice. Was that with the kids?
With the kids.
Okay.
And that one I think is probably the weakest of the prequel trilogy.
Of the prequel trilogy, yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Then I watched The Creator, the new sci-fi movie.
Did you like it?
Visually, just stunning, absolutely incredible. The directing is like the cinematography is incredible. I don't think the director knows how to direct actors because the acting, or maybe just the actors were, because it was brutal, really bad, and the writing as well, really just, but visually stunning. Then Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite one
of the prequel.
Of all of them.
Of all of them. I gave Revenge of the Sith 3 stars and Phantom Menace 3.5. I actually quite like the Phantom Menace. Then Return of the Jedi, because we did the machete order.
Right.
We did Rogue One, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back. Then we went back into the prequel trilogy, and then.
Okay, so
you see Rogue One, which is a setup for A New Hope.
Right.
You then get 2 movies all about Luke, and then at the end of that one, you find out Luke's father, Anakin, is Darth Vader. And it's like whoa, what? And so then you do the flashback and you watch the 3 movies about Anakin's life. And then you jump to the modern day. Now, my daughter already knew that Vader was Luke's father. That had been spoiled to her a long time ago. Okay. She'd already pieced it together. But at the end of
Revenge of the
Sith, when it's revealed that there's twins, she's like, what? There's what? And Jen and I just like, well, you'll have to wait and find out.
Yep.
And then we start Return of the Jedi, and she's like, Leia is his sister, and they're twins,
and they're kissing siblings. Yeah.
So it preserves the Palpatine Emperor plot line really well. It preserves Vader as Anakin really well. It preserves the twins. So yeah, if you're showing it to your kids for the first time, I really recommend the machete order.
I don't think it's a huge game changer.
And then we rewatched, I don't know how many times I've seen this now, but I love it, Super Mario Brothers movie.
It's great.
It was a boys' night. The girls were out doing something, and cooking, and that's what Floyd
cleaning
requested. Yeah, out making sandwiches for another family.
Yep.
Then the day, so Good Burger 2 came out the 22nd. On the 21st, I watched Good Burger with the family. Then we went out for... No, this is wrong. Good Burger we watched the 22nd. So we watched it. Then we went out and got Arby's Good Burgers.
Was it good? The sandwich? It was just the Angus burgers, wasn't it?
Yeah,
With
I
the
think so.
special
It was
sauce.
some special stuff going on there. Then we came back and watched Good Burger 2. I think this sandwich was more exciting than Good Burger 2.
Don't spoil it yet.
Yeah.
Because Good Burger is one of my favorite. The first one's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
Just as far as nostalgia goes.
Yeah.
I was not. Those were movies that Lindsay was not interested in.
Yeah.
So for me, it was ones I was going to have to watch in the evenings when she went to bed.
Sure.
I ended up just going to bed too.
Yeah.
So I actually have slept on Good Burger 2. So don't say anything that's going to sway me one way or the other yet. Then we can talk about it once I watch it. But that movie's on my to-do list.
Then I watched a documentary called The Essential Church.
Oh, I saw you watch that. Yeah.
And then watched Charlotte's Web with the kid.
The animated or the
animated?
the live action?
The animated one from the 70s. It's classic.
That's a short film, right?
Hour and a half.
Really? It's that long?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we watched Babe last night, but I fell asleep like immediately, and I just went to bed.
Baram you.
Yeah.
Baram
All right, well,
you.
none of that's what we're here about today.
No, we're about to talk about a clause or provision in a life insurance or accident policy whereby the company agrees to pay the stated multiple, double, or triple, or of the face amount in the contract in case of death caused by accidental means.
Yeah. Let me ask you.
Formerly known as
Double Indemnity.
There it is. What were you going to ask me?
Well, I was going to say, is your life insurance up to date?
I don't have life insurance.
So, interestingly and importantly, Double Indemnity excludes suicide and death caused by the insured person's own gross negligence, as well as natural causes.
Yeah.
That's important to the plot here.
All right, so let me get a couple stats and I'll ask you some questions here.
All right.
1944.
I wasn't ready for a pop quiz today.
Oh no, I got a quiz for you. 1944, an hour and 47 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Directed by the Billy Wilder.
One Billiam Wildem.
Billiam Wildem.
Yeah. Billiam Wilder.
The only movie that I saw on his roster outside of this one that I now know of was Some Like It Hot, and I've never watched it.
That's the only one you recognize?
But I know it. Like I know I've heard of it.
Oh man.
I didn't recognize any of the other titles on his list.
He's kind of like a huge deal.
I don't know.
So he's got 7 films in the National Film Registry.
Okay.
Double Indemnity. This is in chronological order. Double Indemnity, Lost Weekend, Sunset Boulevard, Ace in the Hole, Sabrina, Some Like It Hot, The Apartment.
Like the Teenage Witch Sabrina?
No.
Oh, then I don't know that one.
With a mixture of that and some other ones, he's got 5 in the top 250.
Wait, really?
Yeah. So Double Indemnity, which is this one.
Ah.
Yeah. Sunset Boulevard, Some Like It Hot, Witness for the Prosecution, and The Apartment.
I didn't realize those were all in the top 250.
And then he's got 4 more that were in the top 250, but aren't anymore.
Yeah, because they stink.
Ace in the Hole, Lost Weekend, Stalag 17, and Sabrina. And then even apart from all those, there was 4 more of his that I recognized the title. A Foreign Affair,
Mm-hmm.
The 7-Year Itch, The Spirit of St. Louis, and The Front Page.
Is this your first time watching one of his movies?
I've seen Some Like It Hot. I've seen The Apartment.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Also, The Front Page. Do you remember our guest for Citizen Kane?
Yes. Kane.
That's right.
We had Kane on.
And he made several movie recommendations. One of them was The Front Page.
Really?
Really?
Cool. This movie passed with its rating, so good job.
C+.
Good job, movie. 1944, like I said, the only movies that we've done around this time, and this is our first Billy Wilder movie.
Yeah.
But just movies within this time frame that we've done was 1941 was Citizen Kane.
That's right.
And 1946 was It's a Wonderful Life.
That's right.
So
and this has some shared cast.
Who?
The guy that runs
Keys.
Yeah, Keys.
Keys
was one of the senators in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. He also had an appearance in It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay, right on. Before I get to my first question for you, this was your first time watching this movie, correct?
Correct.
What did you think? Just overall experience with it?
I thought it was a really great, hard-boiled, this is noir, right? Just a perfect example of noir cinematography and all that.
almost perfect, I would say, and I have my reasons why.
And but despite all that, and I really wanted to like it because I want to like noir, just don't.
Okay, and that's what I mean.
And so this, a almost perfect example of noir, I really wanted to like it, just didn't.
I didn't get the iconic like scene of him standing under a lamppost. Like, I wanted that. Like,
Yeah.
I just other than that, like, I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun. Like, I knew immediately. Okay, I didn't look
Some
up
really clever dialogue.
I didn't look up what the title meant before watching this, so
Okay.
I had no idea. I didn't watch a trailer or anything. I didn't know what this movie was about going into it. The moment the dialogue started, I picked up what she was laying down the same time he picked up what she was laying down,
Yeah.
and the whole like, do you have accident insurance? I was like, oh, so
I
so
see.
from there I was intrigued, and this movie moved pretty quickly. Like, it was pretty action packed as far as the dialogue and the drama goes. That was when like
In the
like,
last third,
I enjoyed this.
in the last third, I really struggled to stay locked in.
Really,
Yeah,
it's when the violence happens
I know.
in the train and
Yeah.
and the gunshot and the smoking. She
Mhm.
smokes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we find out that it was Agatha all along. I mean, it was, hold on, that's a different show.
Different show.
No, I really like this. I was really, this is my first, to my memory, first film, noir film I've seen. Or
I feel like
I've seen
the
some
way-
parodies of noir films.
Yeah,
But like, this is my first like authentic, like,
I watched a fair bit of Dragnet with my dad.
okay, I've heard of Dragnet. That's in that category?
Oh yeah,
Interesting. Okay. I don't know what that is.
and I've
Okay.
watched some other noir movies. But this is my first time watching this one specifically. I mean, technically, Rear Window falls under film noir, even though it's in color.
Okay. I can see the comparison. I can
Mhm.
see that. Which Rear Window was
With Cassie, we did
right.
that.
I just want to give a year.
Jimmy
to that.
Stewart.
1954. So it was 10 years
1954.
late. 10 years after this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just.
Our Jimmy Stewart.
So with this movie specifically,
It's a great accent.
the main character was so, in my opinion, unbelievably forward with the woman.
Super creepy.
So unbelievably
Super creepy.
forward that when she starts playing him, I'm like, oh, she's not in love with him. This is all just, she sees that he's this dumb misogynist and she's playing him. And then it wasn't that. I thought she had him outsmarted and it wasn't even that.
Yeah.
And that would have been more satisfying. And so I was like, this is like when people satirize the 40s, this is how they pretend men acted in like Mad Men and stuff. I'm like, it's unbelievably misogynistic. Like I can't believe it. And so I went to ChatGPT. I was like, is this like a realistic portrayal of men in the 40s? And it's like, no. This was done as a shock factor and to
Women
make-
were way less attractive in the 40s.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Check out the gams on that one.
Yeah, see, yeah.
And I was like, this is a overly misogynistic characterization, even for the 40s. And the purpose of it was so that the audience knows that right from the beginning, our protagonist is morally gray. He's a bad guy because he's hitting on a married woman.
Bad guy.
Oh, it's all Billiam Eyelash.
Billiam Eilish. So you've seen Dragnet. Is there any other like iconic noir films that you can think of that you've seen or are familiar with? 'Cause now this one didn't have that iconic like trumpet that like it didn't have that like
fooled around and fell in love.
Now we have to get copyrighted. Copyrights to that song. But
L.A. Noire is a video game that nails the noir genre incredibly
Mhm.
well. Has a lot of that,
I love that type
standing
of
on
that-
the street post.
that jazz type of that trumpet led jazz. I love that.
I'm on Paste Magazine, 100 best noir films of all time.
The magazine about
I'm probably gonna
adhesives.
we're gonna go through this, you and I, but I'll just cut and post anything
Okay.
unimportant.
Let me say yay or nay to these.
Yeah, Angel Heart from 1987.
Nay.
We're going 100 to 1, by the way. Hard 8, 1996.
Nay.
It's got John C. Reilly and Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh.
A Simple Plan by Sam Raimi, 1998. I have seen this. This is Sam Raimi and the Coen brothers working together, and it's good.
Would you say it fits within like your personal
No.
opinion of the? Okay, so this is a weird.
Like if you think Fargo is noir, then maybe I'd give it that,
definitely
but I
don't.
wouldn't say it is, and I would
Okay.
unless you're saying Fargo is a satirization of noir, which I could buy that.
It's adjacent. I mean, I can
But-
see the comparisons, but I wouldn't put it right there under that label.
Croupier, Croupier, Croupier,
Okay.
1998. Angel Face, 1953. That's a good movie name for a noir film. Angel Face.
It would. I know it's a fictional movie, but would the movie that Kevin McAllister watches when he's home alone?
Yes.
That's a noir film,
Well,
right?
it might be noir. It's a black and white. It's certainly a black and white mafia movie.
Yeah.
It might be noir.
Okay.
So noir.
Because Angel Face kind of reminded me of the name of I forget the name of the movie in the Home Alone films.
Oh yeah.
But like that's immediately what I thought of when you said Angel Face. Snakes. I don't know no snakes.
Devil in a Blue Dress, 1995.
I've heard the song. Devil in a blue dress, devil in.
I don't know it. I'm scrolling through these. Most of these I don't know. The Usual Suspects,
I've heard
1995.
of
Brian Singer.
Really?
Pretty sure that's in our top 250. Gaslight, 1944. Gaslight is the film that like created the term gaslighting.
Oh, okay.
Seven, 1995.
Sevens of
Modern noir.
yeah, I can see that.
Yep, it's a noir. King of New York, 1990.
That's about King Kong.
Oh yeah. Old Boy, 2003. We'll be getting to that one. It's a Korean movie. I always thought it was a kung fu movie, but this says it's crime noir. Bound, 1996.
What if it's a noir kung fu movie? That'd be pretty sweet.
It just means it's by Akira Kurosawa. It's black and white. Good joke. Drive, 2011. That's the one starring Ryan Gosling in a car.
Oh, you're thinking of the Barbie movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Memento is crime noir.
Really?
That's what it says. Zodiac, 2007.
Mm.
Key Largo, 1948. Angels with Dirty Faces, 1938. Fargo. This has Fargo at 63.
Yeah, I mean, if you that doesn't surprise me after you saying that. Angels with Filthy Souls is the name of the Home Alone movie.
It's clearly got to be a parody of Angels with Filthy Faces.
Yeah, Angels. Because like as soon as you said that last one, I'm like, that sounds exactly like the one from Home Alone. Angels with Filthy Souls is the Home Alone film, and I think I think the name of the like Home Alone 2 is More Angels with Filthy Souls.
Nice.
Because it's they do it. Yeah.
Miller's Crossing, which is another great Coen Brothers movie. Taxi Driver, which who was it that said they
Brock Martin.
Brock Martin wants to come back when we get to Taxi Driver.
Yep.
L.A. Confidential, that's another IMDb top 250 we'll be getting to, 1997. Blood Simple, another Coen Brothers. Excellent one. I think it's their first. Blade Runner, like a future crime noir.
Oh, so that means the whole Alien universe is film noir now.
Night in the City, Mildred Pierce, Ace in the Hole, Elevated to the Gallows.
Elevator to the Gallows.
Sounds good, right?
That's a fun name.
Night of the Hunter, The Maltese Falcon, Sunset Boulevard, which we'll be getting to later, by Billy Wilder. Chinatown, that's definitely in the top 250. Stars not Nicolas Cage, Jack Nicholson. Double Indemnity, number 3. The Big Sleep, number 2, never heard of it. The Woman in the Window, never heard of it. Fritz Lang.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Wow, we're becoming cinema buffs.
Oh, don't say that. That's a lot of weight on my shoulders.
I don't like that.
I just want to stick to being a movie.
I know the name Fritz Lang now. Speaking of, because actually there's an interesting connection there. So Fritz Lang, remember when we talked about Metropolis, there was that whole story about how Fritz Lang's first wife was a propaganda director for the Nazi Party.
Mm-hmm.
So Billy Wilder, his legal name is Samuel Wilder. He went by Billy instead of Samuel because Samuel, not as much today, but definitely back then, very noticeably Jewish name.
I don't think he goes by any names anymore.
I bet he does, but he still goes by Billy.
Is he still alive?
It was a noticeably Jewish name, and he escaped Nazi Germany, went to France for a year, and then things were heating up in Europe all around, so he came to Hollywood.
Yeah, he's dead. He doesn't go by anything anymore.
That's Billiam Wilder.
Right on, right on.
I've been rambling for a bit, and I don't really know about what.
I like it. Well, I'd ask we had questions. So, is this movie based on literature?
Boy, is it. It's based on James M. Cain's 1943 novel titled Double Indemnity, which is in Time Magazine's 100 Best Mystery and Thriller Books of all time. And it's considered like a terrific literary example of crime noir. So both the book and the movie. This movie is actually in the 70s. They did a remake of the movie.
Of this one?
Yeah, for TV. Not good.
Did you watch it?
No.
No, okay.
I was satisfied with the panned critics.
Fair enough. We talked a little bit about this, but like I didn't recognize any of the cast members, but I did look between the two main ones.
Yeah.
I did look just to see what they were in, if they were cross paths with anything else. So Fred McMurray, which was Walter Neff. He, a couple of films he's been in that I've never seen, but I recognize, was The Shaggy Dog, the original Shaggy Dog.
Okay.
Absent-Minded Professor, the original Absent-Minded Professor. And then Son of Flubber.
That's the sequel to the original Flubber.
No, it's way before the Robin Williams Flubber movie.
Yeah, Robin Williams Flubber movie is a remake of the original Flubber.
Yeah, but you said this. But, okay, if this is a sequel, Fred McMurray was not in the original one.
No. So the Robin Williams one is a remake.
Right. But you said this is a sequel. You said Son of Flubber was a sequel.
Isn't Son of Flubber the...
If it is Fred McMurray wasn't in it.
Is that the Robin Williams sequel?
No, because Son of Flubber was like in the 40s. Robin Williams was in like the 90s.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, Flubber with Robin Williams is a remake of a much, much, much older movie.
Right. And I didn't find an older movie just called Flubber. I'm looking it up right now.
No, it wasn't called Flubber. So the modern Flubber one is a remake of a movie with a different title. Can't remember what the original title was. Something like The Crazy Scientist or The Mad Scientist.
Let's see here. I'm looking it up. Because I just stuck on the actor, so I didn't look to see if like there was an original Flubber. Oh, wait. Hold on. This is according to Wikipedia. Son of Flubber is a 1963 American science fiction comedy film directed by blah, 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 and produced by Walt Disney Productions. It is the sequel to Absent-Minded Professor.
Yeah, I was close.
Okay, so you're right. I was thinking like, oh, that makes sense. I was thinking Nutty Professor, which is actually is a remake, but it's
yeah.
It's not okay. I'm getting my professors. So yeah, Absent-Minded Professor was the movie, and then Son of Flubber was the sequel. Okay, I'm glad you pointed that out. I would never would have looked that up. And then the actress, Barbara Stanwyck, who played Phyllis Dietrichson.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I saw that I recognized her, like that I movies that she's done I recognized was Annie Oakley. She was in the original Annie Oakley.
Yeah, she's not like the things she's known for, not a whole lot. However, Fred McMurray, we will see again in the top 250.
Titanic?
The Apartment.
Oh, that was a joke because, no, I'm sorry. Barbara Stanwyck was in the original Titanic. I'm sorry.
Oh.
That was a bad joke. I did not time that well. But which movie is Fred in?
The Apartment.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Which is a Billy Wilder movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's, what's the thin lady that, thin actress? I can't think of her name. Very thin.
Ooh. Like politically? Like she's just like real thin politically?
I don't know what that means.
Me neither.
Wait a second. The Apartment's not the movie I thought it was. That stars Shirley MacLaine. A young Shirley MacLaine. What was I thinking of?
It's hard to say.
Who's the one from Breakfast at Tiffany's?
Tiffany.
And I said, what about Breakfast at Tiffany's? And she said, I don't remember that movie.
Audrey Hepburn.
That's the one. I thought The Apartment was Audrey Hepburn.
No. The Apartment is Breakfast at Tiffany's. I think I'm getting this confused.
Okay, let's move on.
Well, that wraps up our episode today. All right. This movie is 8.3 out of 10 on IMDb. It is currently, as recording, 104th on the top 250. Nelson, do you have the IMDb top 250 history of this movie?
Boy, do I. It debuted at 166, and the next collection of data from from the IMDb top 250, the next time they checked in was a couple months later, and it was at 250. It had almost fallen off. It then bounced back up to 100 almost immediately and climbed up to 41 in 2003. And it's slowly been coasting down since 2003, but it's peaked at 41.
It's sinking.
Mm-hmm.
Rotten Tomatoes has a 97% tomato meter and 95% audience.
Now, we say it's sinking, but like that's dropped 100 points in 20 years.
So it's hemorrhaging.
It's like a slow descent. It's fine.
Whew. It's a goner for sure.
Like in another, 30 years, it'll fall off the top 250 at this rate.
Probably. Can you imagine how many Fast and Furious movies are going to be out in 30 years?
At least
Fast and Furious 27.
it'll be half of the top 250.
Because right now, none of them are on there. But at some point, they're all going to take over.
They're all going to be on there. It's like the Alien franchise. Every time a new one comes out.
Yeah. Do you have...
The Muffin Man?
Do
budget.
you know the budget for this film?
$980,000 in 1944. And I want you to guess what that's worth today.
You do it every episode.
I do it like 1 in 10.
10 million. It's 80 years old. I assumed it was going to be a big leap.
You did pretty good.
Really?
17.
Hey! I'll take that.
17 million.
What do I get?
Firm handshake and my surprise.
I don't want it. Keep it. I'll take back your surprise. You can't have it.
So speaking of inflation, early on in the monologue, he's talking about how the house is built in the Spanish style. And he's like, this house must have cost somebody $30,000. And he says it like it's an incredible amount of money. And I'd already done the inflation calculation. I'm like, I know it's a lot, but it's not that much. And so I went and looked, $655,000 today. I'm like, well, that's insanely cheap.
For a house in California.
$500,000 in Ohio, like, isn't going to get you built that much of a house. So I remember my time back as a mortgage loan originator, shilling mortgages for Rocket Mortgage. Like, part of the thing you have to do to get your mortgage loan originating license is you have to pass a federal test that shows that you're adequate and responsible. And that comes with some history lesson. And the history was like a lot of how government intervention had made mortgages better for everybody. And I just well, that doesn't pass the sniff test. I know better. I know enough about government intervention in markets to know that that's not true. So I looked up the Federal Reserve of St. Louis. They've got some of the best openly available data, and all of their stuff is going to be skewed, right? Because they try to make themselves look as much as possible like that they're actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. But other things they're still pretty honest about. So, for example, you can take the average price of a U.S. home. They started keeping track of that in 1963. All U.S. homes sold. Here's the average price. And from 1963 to now, it went up about from $60,000 to just under $200,000. Oh, sorry, that's only if you adjust by inflation. If you actually match the actual rate, it went up to almost $500,000, the average price of a home in America. And my first instinct was like, oh, it's just because houses are way bigger now.
Mm-hmm.
It actually doesn't explain it. But what does explain it is if you look at the history of what the federal government has done to stabilize the housing market, and it pretty much tracks right on that every time they intervene, houses get more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why $655,000 today didn't seem like a wild number to me, because it's an average home today.
Oh.
Because the housing market is wildly inflated, even compared with normal metrics for inflation, which are skewed to make the government look better.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's something that 10 minutes into the movie and I'm already hot under the collar and angry about was nothing to do with the movie. Just the way that because it's an old movie, we gotta look at some prices that just don't make sense today.
Right. It's interesting.
Thanks. I think so.
Did you enjoy any aspect of doing mortgages? Was there any aspect of that job that was there was something redeemable for you?
My favorite part of working at Rocket Mortgage was taking the officially mandated government history test on their involvement in the mortgage industry, and then reading Tom Wood's book Meltdown and doing research of my own. So all of my favorite stuff about working for Rocket Mortgage was just made me more radical.
The educational portion of it,
but most of that wasn't even what they provided. It was just what they were required by law to provide, which is, that's a thing all in itself.
Yeah. Last question here before we get into the deeper thick of it here.
Yeah.
Any comments from the peanut gallery on this movie?
Not a single one. And no feedback on last week's episode.
All right. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
You're all fired.
That's right.
Yep. Well then, let's get into the movie. This movie is pretty obvious when it comes to some of the things that it brings up as, some of the biases it talks about. But the first thing, this is going to sound funny after I say it. First thing that popped out at me was, on both sides, both male and female, the sexuality of this film.
Yes.
I for some reason,
and for the time, it was sensational.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, wow, that's really sexual.
Right. I always equate older movies with being not racy or not edgy, just because of how things have progressed in our day and age and stuff. But this movie was not explicit in the fact that it was graphic or violent or anything like it, but just like, it was just, they were very loose with the idea of just, oh yeah, infidelity. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I came to the top of my stairs in just a bath towel.
Yeah.
Oh, can I help you, sir? Oh, like wow. Like, whew. Like, I wasn't expecting that from a movie from the 40s. I figured, because growing up, I remember, my parents telling me, oh yeah, I Love Lucy. This is why I Love Lucy. Like, they didn't talk about that stuff because, when you see I Love Lucy go to bed at night, they go to two separate beds. In my mind, and forever in my mind, when I think of black and white entertainment, I think of just we don't talk about those subjects.
Socially
we don't talk about those subjects. And it's not that it was shocking in the fact of what it was actually talking about or what it was showing. It was just I had a hard time putting black and white film with sexuality.
Yeah.
And that was just different for me. But in general, for this movie specifically, there was definitely on both ends of the gender spectrum, the two ends of the gender spectrum, there was this push and pull of what did their sexual identity, what did their gender bring to the table when it came to how they are using the other person in the situation? What can they gain from the other person when it comes to intimate situations and utilizing that intimacy for getting what they want?
Yeah. Yeah, it was even sensational for its day. He's not so much that he's a womanizer, but that he is very, very forward, but she's also very forward with him. On several occasions, especially in their first meeting, she gives him lots of outs. I'm not quite sure I know what you mean. And he's like, oh, I think you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, ultimately, it made me thankful that insurance salesmen don't do house calls anymore. I'd wager that a great deal of women would watch this and say, yeah, I've been spoken to like this before. But I am I'm skeptical how many men would watch this and say, yeah, that was acceptable behavior.
No, and I will point out, before we even meet the female,
yeah,
when he's at the door and he knocks and the maid opens it up, he pushes himself in.
Yeah.
So even before he gets a feel for the lady of the house,
yeah,
he's very just domineering.
Yeah.
And then after their interaction, he walks into the smoking room. He throws his stuff on the table.
Yeah.
He feeds the fish.
Yeah.
He just goes over to the fish thing and just feeds it. I can do what I want in this place. He just
on that though. Remember when
that was off-putting before I even realized where the situation was going. That was before I knew what this movie was about.
I think the maid had to read on him right away, though.
This dude's a jerk.
The maid had to read him on him right away, though, because she points him towards the living room and says they locked the liquor cabinet.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's okay, I bring my own key.
Yep. Which he has a key to someone else's liquor
I think that was supposed to be clever writing, or just maybe more of him being I do whatever I want.
Yeah. All liquor cabinets have the same keyhole. Anyways, but yeah, so just that was right off the bat. You got this idea of battle of the sexes.
Yeah,
who can be more overly? He's going to be overly masculine. She's coming across overly feminine,
overly sexual.
Yeah, just
sexualized femininity.
Yeah, so just. It was that was my first initial thing. I was like, okay, this is going to be a battle of how each can use their brawn or body.
She was a really great example of a femme fatale.
Yeah.
Character archetype trope, whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anything else to add when it comes to the sexuality?
I put my notes that Neff is uncomfortably forward with Miss Dietrichson. Yeah.
Did it weird you out how forward he was with her stepdaughter then too?
Yeah.
Yeah, like he had no boundaries.
Yeah.
He wasn't married, was he?
No.
Okay. I didn't think so. He never talked about it, at least. I didn't think he was.
No, because Keyes tells him that he should get married.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yep.
Even though Keyes himself is divorced.
Yep. Yeah. It was just, he's a womanizer for sure.
The scene after after he calls out Dietrichson for wanting to kill her husband, he needs to take a breather. And so he goes to a drive-in diner, parks, and drinks a couple glasses of beer in the driver's seat of his car.
Yeah, bring those back.
Just like, that's awesome. And then like later, he's like chain smoking in a grocery store. Just like, I was like, man, the 40s were wild.
What was it? There was one scene.
And like, even if we're supposed to look at him as like, why would you do that? Like, clearly it was at least socially acceptable enough that nobody was calling him out on it in the movie. Yeah. You know, there's a restaurant serving him.
He threw a cigarette down just in that smoking room where the goldfish was.
Yeah, just like on the floor.
Yeah.
I think that all that's supposed to be like unlikable behavior.
Oh, for sure.
But also like within the realm of possibility in the day. You know, it's bizarre that it's even like possible and that nobody's like speaking to him about it, you know? So the insurance package that they signed, Mr. Dietrichson says, how much is this going to cost me? And the guy threw out some number. With inflation, it's $3,000. So they're talking so far about how he doesn't have a whole lot of money, and he just signed a check for not knowing how much for $3,000.
Yep.
And that's man, if my money troubles allowed me to sign $3,000 checks like that, I'd be doing all right.
No, honey, we're good. I just signed for something.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll be all right.
Yeah, that was just wild to me. Continuing on the topic of just like money
Absurdity?
In this movie.
Oh, money. Okay.
So it's going to be $50,000 if he dies, but double indemnity clauses. The way they work is that in very if they die in very specific circumstances, it pays out more. That's what double indemnity is. It pays out twice as much. There's even triple and quadruple indemnity,
which is the sequel and the second sequel of this film.
And you might ask yourself, why on earth would a life insurance policy, pay out more if I die specific ways? Apparently, this was a very effective advertising technique because of the fear of dying in there was a bizarre fear of dying in catastrophic, unusual ways. Because really, when you look at life insurance, what is it? It is a gambling contract. For every month that I lose the gamble, I pay additional. But eventually, I win, and you pay out a lot. So why would you gamble extra that I'm going to die in specific? Like they're right. There's a term for it in gambling, but like they're like side gambles on a game, you know. So it's just bizarre. Mm-hmm. So he says, you know, if he dies, it's going to be 50,000. If he dies on a train, though, because those are rare deaths, 100,000, which today is 2 million. So, you know, I don't know what my number is to kill somebody for money.
Is there a number?
There's got to be. There's got to be a number that you're like, okay, yeah, I'd kill a guy for that.
I've never thought of that. I don't think I had the guts to do it.
I know that there's a number for anybody. I don't know what that number is.
7.
And also, you know, that number changes depending on the circumstances.
Yeah.
Like, did he say something mean to me once? I'll do it for free.
I love you. Can I get you something? Would you like a hoagie?
So yeah, that was something I just thought interesting. It's like 2 million is a lot of money. I don't know if it's my number. It's definitely not my number.
I did some really, really deep research just now in Google by asking a question. And I asked, how often do people try to kill for life insurance? And according to Google,
every day.
Even if they, and this is from July 4th, 2016. So I mean, this is just what popped up. There's probably more recent insurance, but this is just the immediate thing that popped up. It is easily dozens, if not hundreds of people murdered every year that do it for collection.
Easily dozens, if not hundreds
of people.
Well,
Oh yeah, that's from 2016.
You know,
it's just the first thing that popped up.
It's the people closest to you that are most likely to murder you. I'm sure life insurance is a perverse incentive in that, which is why I recommend that people don't have life insurance policies.
Do you really? Oh. What?
No, I don't recommend that. I don't recommend that at all.
Yeah. I don't know much about this realm of insurance.
Yeah. So
Like-
part of his incentive isn't just the dollar amount. Part of the incentive is that he thinks that Phyllis with 2 F's is a pretty fine feline. That wasn't the 2 F's, but it worked out pretty well, and I'm happy with it. So that's part of his incentive. And the other one that he says is
You're proud of that.
just to see if I could get away with it. See if I was smart enough to outsmart the system.
Mhm.
To outsmart Keys specifically.
Yeah, see.
So that was his like 3 bits of incentive. But 2 million, like that's
No.
you could buy a lot of Cheetos with 2 million.
I love to step back a little bit, but then to reach a point that we're on right now. This was my first experience with film noir, especially after naming all the films you did. Like
Fargo.
I guess if you're counting like more iconic black and white mystery lamppost narration movies, because Fargo didn't have narration.
No,
No.
but that is you're absolutely right. That's a huge
So,
trope.
but like, I was a little bummed. Like, there's sometimes some movies do it well in a way where they start the movie at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And then go back and replay. Like this one, I was like, I don't
Fight
think.
Club did that.
Yes, you are right. Yeah.
Our very last
and I think
movie.
Fight Club did it better. For this specific editing detail, I think Fight Club did it better.
Okay.
For this one, like, I didn't like the way that I knew this was all going to go haywire. Like, I think there would have been more weight to this movie if you knew that there was a chance that this may actually get away with it.
They might get away with it.
Yeah. Like, I knew it was all going to blow up in the face. And I knew before he said stuff because he's sitting there with a gunshot going, it was me.
Yeah.
Like, I did it. Like,
Mhm.
it just, I'm like, oh, shoot. Like,
So as I was watching
I wanted a little bit more mystery.
as I was watching it to that end, I was seeing a lot of parallels with a lot of Coen Brothers stuff as I was watching. So it shouldn't have surprised me as much as it did that I saw so much Coen Brothers on that list of best noir. And one of the things that the Coen Brothers do really, really well, I believe I talked about it in that episode, is that like intersection of not being as smart as you think you are and being too ambitious. You know, or as they like to say, high ambition, low impulse control. Right? Like I'm not smart enough and wise enough to take care of everything, but I'm smart enough to think I did, right? And then I'm just way too ambitious and have such high time preference that like I need it right now, you know?
Right.
And I think that was what I was seeing here. So I didn't mind that because like I feel like that's when those two things intersect, that's bound to happen. You're bound to have it blow up in your face.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't worry about that. And also, but again, like calling back to the thing that I thought it would have been more satisfying if she had outsmarted him, if she was just using him.
Almost like a long con. Like,
right.
Yeah.
If she was conning him just that she was going to kill him, take the money and run. And maybe that is what it was. And I missed it entirely. But in the part where he talked about how like I did it for a woman and some money, and now I don't have the woman or the money. I thought the way that he didn't have the woman was going to play out because she tricked him, you know. And now he's going to die anyway, but he's telling them just to screw her as well, you know, so that she doesn't get away with it. I think that would have been a more satisfying.
I agree with that. I'm going to ask a random question, but this idea was presented in this movie. I'm just curious your take on it. He specifically threw around the word "I love you" very quickly.
Yeah,
very quickly.
Oh yeah.
Like, do you think he was sincere with his emotions at least? Because he did say then in his monologue, "I did it for a girl and the money, and I didn't get either." Like so he even said at the end, the girl was something he was wanting to get her. Like he was wanting to keep at the end of this.
I would say, given his behavior throughout the movie so far to that point, I would say that when he said that, it was one of two things. He's either A, he's been incredibly unsuccessful in love so far because of his attitude, and so he fell in love very fast.
Yeah.
Or B, and I think this one's more likely, which is he was lying about his emotions to move that relationship forward. Because he was in the relationship for a very specific thing.
Yeah. Now, a personal question then, just to get to know you and me. do you think there's an appropriate time or length of time before you say I love you to someone? Specifically, like in your dating relationship.
Have I ever told you my recommended rules for dating?
I don't believe so. And if I definitely don't think you've said it on air. But I don't know if you and I've had this conversation.
So we've both worked with high school students, and when they're in middle school and high school, and when they're in high school, they will ask for dating advice, and I always give the same dating advice. First one's don't date till you're 20. You have nothing to gain by dating now, and all of the things that you think that you want now out of dating will still be there when you're 20. Plus, you'll know yourself better. You'll be halfway through your education or starting into your career. Like, you'll know more about yourself, and all those women will still be there. And then I say, or men if I'm talking to girls. So that's the first one. Second one is break up for literally any reason at all. You do not owe them an explanation. Just break up. If if they've got 6 toes and that weirds you out, if they laugh funny, whatever the reason is, because the purpose of dating is to find someone that you want to spend the rest of your life with. And if whatever it is about them is like, I don't want to spend the rest of my life with this person, it can be as shallow or as deep as you need it to be. But like, ultimately, do you want to spend your life with this person? No, then break up with them. My third rule is that you don't owe them anything. You don't owe them an explanation. You don't owe them anything at all. They'll want an explanation when you break up with them, but that doesn't actually make it easier, and it's not going to change anything for them usually, because if you're following rule number 2, then rule number 3 means that sometimes you're breaking up over very trivial things. But rule number 3 only works if you
don't talk about Fight Club.
If you've chosen to be abstinent, all right? If you bring really complex physical things into the relationship, then you owe them an explanation, because things have moved along in a way that these relationships are healthiest when they don't. And then
you have a 4th rule.
I've got more rules.
Oh my goodness, keep them coming.
If a year in to this relationship you haven't left, it's because following rules 2 and 3, you haven't found in 1 year something that you couldn't live with. At this point, you should be proposing,
because that would put you at least 21 years old.
Yeah,
if you're following the rules.
And if you're a year in and you're not certain if you could marry this person, then for whatever reason, you probably aren't going to marry this person, and you should move along.
And if you listeners want more of this, Nelson's book is linked in the comments below.
You actually just heard it. You heard the entire audio.
There's the whole book. That's
the entire audio book. It's practical. Like it's so devoid of emotion, and just like all of those rules are optimized for the one thing of dating is to find you somebody to spend the rest of your life with. If you follow these rules, you will find somebody that you absolutely treasure and adore and want to spend the rest of your life with.
And the name of this pamphlet's called Hicks Need Loves.
Yeah.
Hicks Need Love.
Not anymore.
You don't need love anymore?
I found a wife.
So you don't want
by
love.
optimizing my dating strategy.
But you don't want love anymore.
No, I'm good.
Okay. All out of love. So I actually have to disagree with the first 2 rules just because of my situation of how my wife and I got together.
I know. There are always
there's always exceptions.
Listen.
And there's many functioning relationships that would disagree with anyone's advice, not just yours.
Oh, absolutely.
Like there's always one that's going to be like, we made it through.
I know a lot of people that dated in high school, got married, and are in happy, committed relationships.
Sounds so nice.
But of the if you exclude them from the advice pool, people that like dated and like had messy relationships through high school, when I usually tell people you shouldn't date till you're 20, they're like, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. That's usually the response I get. Did I wait till I was 20? No. Do I think I should have? Yes.
Yeah.
For some people though, they start dating somebody in the 8th grade, fall madly in love, get married, die happy.
70 years old.
Yeah.
You're
More power to them.
You're the Reagans,
Yeah.
Did you see they were married 70 years? It's crazy.
Nancy Reagan
She just passed away.
70 years.
I'm gonna fact check it, but she just recently passed away as of recording
Mr.
this.
Gorbachev, tear down this wall. That's my Reagan impression.
I knew. Do
you want to hear
wait, not Reagan.
You want to hear my Nixon?
It's not Reagan. Who?
Carter.
What was it? Nancy Carter?
Yeah. Both Nancys. Do you want to hear my Nixon impression?
I'm not. Yeah, sure.
I am not a
It's not Nancy Carter. Which
I am not a clerk.
Rosalind Carter.
I'm Nixon. When I do it, it's not illegal.
All right, so Rosalind Carter. Because I swear they said married for 70 years.
Growing peanuts.
40. So married
Sunday
46. That'd be 46, 50. Yeah, 70 years. Married for 70 plus years. That's crazy.
Wow.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, I have no emotional attachment to either. And obviously, like, I didn't live through either of these. His presidency, or like, I don't know anything about the Carters.
Yeah.
But like,
you'll get to his biography eventually.
70 years of marriage. It's incredible.
How's that going?
Slow.
Yeah.
Slow and stubby.
Have you finished that communist indigenous people's book yet?
It's not communist. And I won't answer that question unless you say sorry.
Oh, okay.
I'm still reading the book on Native American, the history of America through the Native American perspective.
Indigenous people.
Indigenous people. And in general, it doesn't matter the book. If I'm physically reading it, I'm a slow reader.
Yeah.
I go through audiobooks pretty quickly. This one was not on audiobook, nor could I find with the app that I use for audiobooks, because I use through my library. So I get it's legally free audiobooks. I couldn't find a good one on the Indian Trail or the river, the Trail of Tears.
Right.
So that's why I went out and bought one. So I'm getting through it. Like I'm personally enjoying it. Like,
yeah.
And not that I love the topic of conversation. Like, I love what it's talking about, but just like I'm finding it very informative, and it's been a lot to chew on.
Yeah.
So I have been enjoying the fact that it has been an interesting read, but I have not finished it yet. I'm less than 100 pages left. My goal is to have finished by end of November here.
It's a different era of U.S. federal government absolute undermining of indigenous people's rights, but Killers of the Flower Moon just came out and is doing really well.
It is. It's like a 12-hour movie, though.
Yeah, it's based on a book about the Osage Nation getting screwed over by the federal government. That's very good. But that's just like one of 5 tribes at the time. Like so when I lampoon that book as like communist literature, don't get me wrong. Like, indigenous people of North America, like, have gotten just time after time after time of
mistreated,
to put it lightly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But almost always not at the hands of like their quote unquote white oppressors.
That doesn't mean it didn't happen that way, though, in some situations.
Yeah, and the people doing it were white, but the oppressive force was time and time and time again, like, legally sanctioned, like, federally instituted. Like, this is what we're going to do as a country.
Right.
And
still not good choices.
Right.
Yeah.
But in the same way, 9/11 was a tragedy because bin Laden was attacking American citizens for what the American government had done. And in the same way, blaming whiteness is blaming all white people alive at that time and through history.
Yeah, they're all guilty.
They're all guilty for what the federal government did.
Yeah.
I think that's foolish.
I sit here guilty.
And that's why I say it's communist propaganda.
Now, so you asked about my president biographies. The next president that's up to bat is William Henry Harrison.
Oh,
that's the next. So I'm still very much.
So let's rewind then in our conversation to get back to the movie that we're talking about, Double Indemnity.
Oh,
how did we get? I don't know how we got here.
You
know, one of my favorite pieces of feedback that we get, Jeff.
Our bunny trails.
Great episode. Wish you talked about the movie more.
We talk about our world through the movie.
Yeah.
So like, we're not a movie review podcast, listeners.
All right. Well, let's jump forward to another time when inflation didn't make sense in this movie.
Okay.
Keyes offers him a promotion that because he's no longer going to be on, what is it? What does salesman get?
Commission.
Thank you. Because he's no longer going to be on commission, he's actually going to be losing money. Roughly $50 cut in salary, which means you're going to make $50 less a year. Even with inflation, that works out to about $1,000. I feel like, and I understand it's probably mostly because like he's about to just get a big windfall from this heist, or not heist, but con he's pulling. Like, I feel like, you take that opportunity
Yeah, don't sleep on that one.
to not have to have a more comfortable job. You're working directly under your boss, so when it comes time for your boss to step down, like, you're the natural candidate, and you're getting what, $1,000? That's not bad.
No, I have a hard time putting myself in that shoe because like his job outside of his amoral choices.
Yeah,
insurance. Like I tried insurance.
yeah,
And no, thank you. I get why it exists, but I'm not the person to sell it.
it's good that it exists.
Yeah.
It's but it is very discompassionate business model because you're a bookie, right, and you're betting on people's lives and awful incidents. You're betting that their worst day is not going to happen this month,
so you keep your money.
Yeah.
Bum 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 bum.
So this is a line that I love because it really fed into my biases as an anarcho-capitalist. One of my biases as an anarchist is that the state is bad, and as a capitalist, it's just because as a monopoly, they're disrupting markets. And if you open up the free market, the free market's going to give us lower cost, better quality every single time, and that includes with policing. And there's a really kind of like just like a snapshot glimpse into one way that that's true in this movie.
What's that?
So Keys and what's the guy's name? Neff. Keys and Neff.
The main guy.
They're discussing.
All right, that's enough.
I really like that.
Sorry, I'm sorry, listeners. I apologize.
They're discussing kind of like the case, right? The claim, because now we have this claim that so and so fell off a train, freak accident. Now he's dead, and because it's a train, we're going to pay out double. Neff says, "What did the police figure?" Keys says that he got tangled up in his crutches and fell off the train. They're satisfied, but it's not their dough, right? So what is he saying? I want to look deeper because we have capital on the line here if we're wrong about this. The police have no skin in the game. If they're wrong about this, it costs them nothing. It's not their dough. There's no skin in the game. In a free market, a lot of like rights protection and stuff would happen in kind of an insurance type way, right? So because the insurance company has, a stake in this, they want to investigate further. Now, that leads us directly into the next line, which was a hilarious scene of there's a widespread feeling that just because a man has a large office, he must be an idiot. And then that guy immediately is like, it's suicide and we're willing to negotiate with you. There's are you familiar with, what's it called? Anything that can go wrong will go wrong?
Yeah, Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law.
Dave Ramsey talks about that literally every episode.
So
sorry, I just finished Parks and Rec.
Oh, okay.
Literally every episode.
So Murphy's Law is anything that can go wrong will go wrong. There's a corollary of it about corporate promotions. Everyone gets promoted to their level of incompetence.
Oh.
In other words, if you haven't been promoted in several years and there's room for promotion, it's probably because you've reached the point that like this is the best you're going to be at a job in the hierarchy structure.
Oh,
I know, it's a
now
bummer.
I feel self-conscious.
And so this guy, raised in the front office of insurance, and he's probably not going to get promoted a whole lot further because he is in fact, even though he is in a big office, he is in fact the idiot, and so it chalks it up to suicide. But Keys has plenty of evidence why it probably isn't. And so this insurance claims guy becomes effectively a detective, right? And he's doing the investigation that the detectives should be doing, but because the detectives have no skin in the game, because it's not their dough, they're satisfied with this was an accident. No foul play, not a suicide.
I would never want to be in that decision-making position. Like,
I know.
Oh, I would hate my job. To have to deal with that exact subject matter and go,
yeah,
did they, didn't they? Like, you're an investigator, but not in the police sense. You're going, do we get this money out? Like, like you're doing a whole separate investigation.
That's why, like I said, they're really nothing more than bookies.
I've never thought of it like that, and I see that.
Yeah, I mean, they're
I'm
not
canceling all my insurance today.
no. Insurance is good.
Hold on, I gotta make a phone
Insurance
call. Hold
is
on.
very, very
Just
good.
hold on.
Yes,
All right,
hello?
I'm back.
Nationwide.
I'm back. Yeah, we're done. I'm breaking up with you.
Breaking up is hard to do.
Yeah, we've referenced so many songs in this episode.
All right.
Oh man. Was that it for that? For you?
That's it for
Okay.
that.
Okay. I didn't know.
That's my
'cause-
brief pitch of why we need to privatize policing.
What I had next was a completely different train, so I just want
Yeah.
to make sure I didn't.
Did you want to comment on that at all?
No, honestly, it's messy. It's depicted messy in this film,
Yeah.
and I can I don't want to touch it.
Yeah.
It's intimidating. It's something I would avoid at all costs.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't have a
So yeah, and when I criticize policing, just like when I criticize teaching, I'm criticizing the institution, not the individuals. And the people that do those individual jobs, even in a free society, there'd be so much value for those jobs, and they'd just be compensated better and be able to do their jobs more effectively. So.
Yeah. So I had a thought about in the point of the movie when things started to go awry.
Mm-hmm.
Literally after they get in the car, after dumping the body on the tracks, and the car doesn't start.
Yeah.
At that very moment, I had the thought that goes, "Don't be surprised." Like, and I wrote it down. I was like, "Don't be surprised that things go wrong when you're willingly doing amoral choices."
Sure.
Like, or working with amoral people. Like, don't be surprised when things don't go away that you want them to. When you're trying to be deceitful or like at any point.
Do you think that is a factual reality of the world we live in, or is it a satisfying narrative trope?
Yes, and it's satisfying when it isn't me. If I'm just being real, like I'm to the listeners out there. I'm not perfect. Don't for the moment think that
Jeff,
I'm perfect.
Despite
I
the
make
entire
mistakes.
body of scripture, I think that you shouldn't change.
Thanks.
Stay just the way you are.
But I do wrong things all the time. Ask my wife. But I just where's I gonna go with this?
And I apologize. Please forgive me.
Okay, so it is nice when it's not me that's being karma'd with their bad, and now something bad's happening to them. When I'm watching it from the outside, going, "Oh yeah, you get it. Told you so. You get what you deserve." Like when it's not me, yeah, it feels good. When it's me, I hate it. You know. So to answer your question, you're like, yeah, from the outside, yeah, I kind of like it when it's, yeah, you reap what you sow. Crap, I'm reaping what I sow. Like I just don't like it.
I
when
reaped what I sowed.
I don't like it when it happens to me. But I had no. Okay, let me compare this to Fargo because I never thought about this until just now.
Mm-hmm.
In Fargo, I mentioned that I had no emotional attachment to any of the characters except for the cop.
Right.
And even that was minimal.
Yeah.
In this,
because it was
she's
a
a
woman.
girl. Yeah, girls. Yeah. I don't even call them women anymore. They're just girls.
Gross.
Yeah,
They got cooties.
Cooties. circle, dot. In this movie, I also didn't have any empathy for any of the characters or sympathy, or like I didn't care if they both went down because of the fact that they were both willingly.
Those are both bad people.
Right. But for some reason, in the way this movie presented it versus Fargo, listen to that episode, please. I enjoyed the way it was presented in this movie way more than I did Fargo.
Mm.
That specific aspect, because I brought that up multiple times in that episode of like, I just couldn't get attached to the characters.
Yeah.
In this movie, I didn't get attached to the characters, but that didn't bother me in this film.
Interesting.
It is and I can't tell you why. But I was very happy.
Could it be
when they got what they were deserved?
Well, you commented that apart from really Fargo, this is really your first noir movie.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be that trope is something that you weren't ready for in Fargo, but Fargo kind of primed you for this, so you were able to appreciate it more? It wasn't as jarring for you.
I'm not going to say no to that.
And I'm not saying that is what happened.
Right.
But is it possible that that's what happened?
Subconsciously, unconsciously, possibly.
Maybe.
There's a good chance.
Because now we're sophisticated cinema aficionados.
We know Fritz Lang.
Yeah.
The name.
I wear a
we know the name
jacket.
Fritz Lang.
I know who Fritz Lang was.
like in thinking back to Fargo, which wasn't that long ago, it was the 90s, you know,
it was a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. I still don't like my impression of it today is I still didn't enjoy the movie.
Yeah.
But in a sense, I do have a bigger grasp of that type of storytelling.
Right.
Now, but yeah, it doesn't change my perspective of Fargo at all.
Right.
But maybe it did interpret me
Yeah.
watching this. Yeah, I can see that. I am evolving. But yeah, just go back to my
He's
thing. I was
turning
just like,
into a Charizard.
yeah. I loved Pokemon. Anyways, yeah, I just in this movie, I'm like, if you're gonna do stupid things, be prepared to get stupid consequences.
Mhm.
Like, I just like, and granted, like, so the guy that died, the guy that they offed,
Yeah.
we rarely heard much of him. All we knew is he was distant and he wasn't much of a husband.
He was a widower, remarried.
Which he was a widower, we found out because she was also terminated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's also crotchety because someone wronged him already before
Yeah.
they even offed him. So like, he obviously got the short end of the stick, and so did the stepdaughter. Like, without them, they didn't really make any decisions except the dude should have read the documents. Like, this all could have been stopped if he read the documents he signed.
Sure. Also, I find it really hard to believe that he didn't see Neff laying in the back seat of the car.
Yeah.
Wasn't believable.
Or hear them, or
Yeah.
hear him, or like I mean,
Can you
those cars
imagine
are
if
not
Neff had,
smooth
like,
rides.
coughed or farted.
like, I mean, those roads weren't bump, like get a bump and you just, like, do you have something in the trunk? No. But yeah, okay. I mean, when you mentioned that scene, like, I liked the way that they killed him off screen.
Yeah.
I thought that, I was like, I didn't know. I was like, oh, it's happening. And then I was like, oh, I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
I was like, she honked her horn and then just pans to the driver. And then you just hear, I was like, oh, well, that was tasteful.
Right.
Yeah. I liked the way they did that. For all the murders I've seen, that was a nice one.
I got one more thing before we wrap up. Anything else?
This was the biggest one. The other big one I had was just, I don't have like just that amoral doing amoral, like you're gonna expect the consequences. Like,
right.
That was the other big thing.
You reap what you sow.
Yeah, farming. Yeah. What you got?
Neff's ambition. This was my final note that I wrote down. Neff's ambition drove him to Double Indemnity, which put more focus on the claim than if they'd had a more common incident. So basically, his undoing was because of the Double Indemnity clause.
He was greedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, back to the Coen brothers, I think, because I've always looked at it as a distillation of what the Coen brothers is, but really it's more of like a distillation of just the noir genre or human crime mysteries and stuff. The intersection of ambition and hubris. That's what I was looking for. Intersection of ambition and hubris. He was so excited about the money, so blindly ambitious about the money, that he went after the Double Indemnity clause, which raised more questions. And if they just taken a normal, he was expecting to run away with this girl and get married for $1 million. You can do a lot with $1 million. You can start a new life with $1 million. And he just got greedy, started to double it.
Yeah,
and that was his undoing.
Even if he wasn't trying to double it, like even just doing the 50,000, going for the 50,000, that still would have been a type of greed. I mean, I guess I don't want to say like,
yeah, but I mean, like,
it wasn't until he doubled it that's when he turned greedy. No,
I know, but
if he's willing to kill for money, that's greed in itself.
I agree. I'm saying that greed led him down the road even further. You know what I mean? Like, if he was greedy but practical, for example, right? They would have killed in a very common way. It would have been you'd be like, oh yeah, this kind of stuff happens all the time. It's just a freak accident.
Yeah.
But instead, he fell off the back of a bus going 15 miles, the back of a train going 15 miles an hour, with a broken leg that he hadn't filed a claim on, right? Like, if Neff had been thinking, he'd been like, okay, we're gonna go for the most common way for them to die. We're gonna wait till his leg's healed, maybe even a couple months, so that there's no questions about why he didn't file an accident claim on the broken leg.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what they did. And that's what got him caught.
Yeah.
Wrap up questions?
Sure, I guess. Yeah. But I guess first overall, like, did you enjoy your experience with this movie? I enjoyed this movie overall, and this is one of the ones where I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna have that moment where like, oh yeah, I like old movies, Double Indemnity. Like, this is gonna be the one that I'm gonna pull out and go, but have you seen this one? Like, because this one, yeah, like, I'm
so this
glad
is how you're gonna cinema snob.
Yeah. Oh, have you seen Double Indemnity? Billy Wilder's.
Like, yeah, I just blanked entirely. We've seen so many black and white movies.
Jeff.
We've seen
My
a
name's
bunch, and I
Jeff.
couldn't think of a single one. Yeah, Psycho's a pretty good black and white movie, but have you seen Double Indemnity?
Double Indemnity. Yeah. Double your pleasure. Double your fun. Double mint gum.
Double Income. I would say I wouldn't have finished this movie if it wasn't for the podcast.
Okay.
I
just didn't keep your attention.
I didn't hate it. I just didn't care.
Okay. That's fair. All right. Wrap up questions. Ba-dum-ba. Would you recommend this film?
Probably not. I wouldn't. If someone's like, "Yeah, I'm going to watch Double Indemnity this weekend," I wouldn't say don't watch it. And there are movies that I would tell people not to watch, but this definitely isn't one of them.
Unless I find another better. Obviously, we've talked about how Fargo is a film noir, sort of, but like almost like a subcategory of it. Like, unless I find another one that for me best represents this film, where it's the guy under the lamppost.
Yeah.
Like for me, because this is the first one, and I had a good experience with it. If this type of genre comes up, or this anything adjacent to this comes up, I would recommend it. I wouldn't be the first movie I'm going, hey, you need to watch this weekend.
Sure.
But like, if anything around this topic comes up, I'd be like, yeah, I enjoyed this. I would watch this again.
I would say
the acting wasn't terrible. It was cringy, but the characters are cringy, but the acting wasn't. Like, I felt like it felt natural for the characters. It didn't seem like it was overacting.
Yeah, it was just all the noir tropes.
Right.
So looking again, at the other movies that Billy Wilder has currently in the top 250, and the highest they've ever reached. So the highest Double Indemnity ever reached was 41.
Mm-hmm.
Sunset Boulevard, highest it hit was 25. Something like it Hot was 32. Something Like It Hot is not film noir.
Okay.
From what I remember.
Yeah.
I might be misremembering.
Summer Romance, I think.
Witness for the Prosecution, highest was 63. I believe it's a court drama. And The Apartment, I thought was a rom-com, but I might be mistaken. I've never seen it. I don't think I've seen it. I said earlier that I had, but I was mistaken for something else.
You were thinking of Aubrey Hepburn.
Yeah.
Audrey Hepburn.
Aubrey
Plaza.
Audrey Plaza.
Audrey Plaza.
The Apartment highest was 73. So I think some of those will probably be film noir.
Yeah.
And so you might find, hey, I've got a better film noir than Double Indemnity.
And I'm more excited now to watch LA Confidential. Now that I know that that's sort of in this category.
It's a color. Yeah.
So
like the
that
film
one
noir
excites me.
genre kind of died with the invention of color film.
Yeah, stupid colors.
But crime dramas still exist, and they still borrow tropes from them. So.
Yeah. No. So yeah, I would recommend it with the parameters. Would you change the rating? It passed. Would you pass this movie?
Yeah, I think this works PG.
PG, yeah.
Because
I agree.
all of the sexual language is coded.
Yeah.
Even when
there's
shows
no
up,
nudity.
There's no nudity when she shows up in the bath towel. It's like if I told my daughter, yeah, she's wearing a bathing suit under that. Like it's entirely believable.
Yeah, it's provocative.
The
but
strangling
through
happened off
imagination.
scene.
Yeah, there's
quite a bit
blood.
of alcohol.
Yeah, there's alcohol and there's
smoking.
blood.
But both the alcohol and smoking, you can tell the kid, yeah, it's just the time.
Yeah.
So, I don't remember the blood.
It was just at the end, like as it was coming to the culmination of the film, it wasn't like blood splatter. It was just on his jacket, and his jacket slowly just got more and more bloody in the shot where the shoulder where he was shot.
I missed that.
It wasn't graphic, but he had a gunshot in his shoulder.
Sure, and they had liquid.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It wasn't graphic by any means, but there was a
PG.
gunshot. And like, I mean, when he shot her and later on the couch, she had no visual signs of being physically harmed.
No.
Yeah,
PG.
So yeah, PG, absolutely. Has it aged well?
I think it feels now more like not a satire of crime noir, but like such a trope heavy typical one that it's like it feels like a Pulp Fiction movie almost.
I've not seen Pulp
Fiction. No, not like that. Like somebody did like a rinse and repeat, like just like churning out movies kind of thing,
like the Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah, like it doesn't like it's so on the nose,
gotcha.
Crime noir trope heavy that it almost feels like they weren't really trying all that hard.
Gotcha.
But I think it's just because it's such a perfect example of the genre.
And this wasn't the first film or noir film. Like
no,
you mentioned a couple that were earlier.
Yeah, this was already existing as a genre, but like I'd wager well, this is kind of getting to the question a little earlier, but I'd wager one of the reasons it's on the top 250 even to this day is because it was one of the first to do a lot of these tropes. I don't know that, but I'd wager that it's true and that it's such a great encapsulation of it and feels so repetitive of the genre just because it was one of the first to do it. Similar with Star Wars and a lot of the things it did in sci-fi for the first time.
I've seen many videos like I've seen many sketch comedy things do film noir.
Okay.
I like none that like and even like Boy Meets World did a film noir episode. Like a lot of sitcoms would do like
a film noir episode.
Right. Like, it just but I always enjoy those. Like Jimmy Fallon did some sketches on the late night show.
Yep.
Where it was
there is a role playing game that is intended to give you film noir vibes called Gumshoe.
Gumshoe.
Yeah, because Gumshoe detectives are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I've not heard that
term
term
before. And then also,
before.
Batman. Earliest introductions of Batman was in comic books in detective comics, and before he wore a bat suit, he wore
a detective suit.
A detective suit. Yeah.
And then you got Noir Spider-Man. From Spider-Verse.
Yeah,
Nicolas Cage actually.
Yeah, I mean he existed in the comics.
Right.
Cage voiced him, but yeah, absolutely.
That was my first introduction to that specific character.
Fighting Nazis.
Yeah.
Doing bubblegum and fighting Nazis.
Would this movie be in your personal top 250?
No, I don't think so.
I honestly don't know.
If it is, it's like in the bottom.
Yeah, like because I enjoyed it enough where I'm like I kind of hope this one sticks it out. But it's definitely not my favorite movie. Like, but it's one that I'm kind of rooting for. Like, I hope you make it, buddy. Like, hope you're number 249. Like just hang on. Like, it's again. And I guess it's more to make me feel more like a movie buff. Like, I'd like to have some of more of these older vintage movies that I can say I actually enjoy.
Yeah,
and it's in my top 250. So, if it is, it'd be at the bottom. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that I like something just so that I like. This is not. Don't hear. I'm not criticizing you here.
I feel like you just criticized me.
No. That's not what I mean to say. I'm not going to want to like something just so that I can say I like something in that genre. I want to be impressed.
Right.
Impress me. And if I want to like it, but like I don't want to just give that away.
And that is not my reasoning for justifying this movie, but I think that was an immediate reward when I realized, I like this movie. Oh, that means I've got an old movie I'm a fan of. Like,
yeah.
And I had the same opinion about, so this movie, I still ranked Rear Window above this. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington above this. The Seven is above this. So if that is a film noir, there's that one above it. So I've got older films. Well, I mean, actually 44. Is this the oldest film at the highest ranking for me? No, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington was 39. So that movie ranks higher and is older, but just in general, like I'm glad to see that I enjoy movies of a more diverse, generational gap.
Yeah.
So
we're not as movie likers as we've said we are.
Yeah.
Apparently, we're sophisticated.
We're men of art,
cinema aficionados.
Yes.
You can't spell art without fart.
Yeah, and I can't spell aficionado without fettuccine.
Without a dictionary.
All right, last question here. Why do you think this is on the top 250?
I suspect it's because it's such a perfect capsule of the noir genre.
Yeah.
And I don't know it for a fact, but I'd wager it's doing things in the genre that became staples of the genre, but it was the first to do them.
That was exactly my answer. I think it's one of those quintessential movies. Oh, film noir? Yes, this movie.
Yeah.
It's the acting's not bad.
Double Indemnity.
The directing's not bad. The storyline in itself is not terrible. It's not the best.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, it's a pretty riveting story throughout and stuff. And it's not dry.
Yeah. You know what else?
I mean, it has dry moments, but it's not dry. What's that?
The Titanic, which is why it's split in half. If they had welded it, it wouldn't have torn so easily. They used rivets. It was riveted. So, any other questions?
I have 0 more questions.
Good night, folks.
Next week.
What a way to end the show.
We'll see you
Just a
later.
stinker of a joke.
Oh gosh.
Okay, bye.
What are we listening to, watching to, talking to next week?
Next week will be.
Hold on. My glass of water on the table is jiggling. No, just kidding. It's a beer, and it's in a can.
And it's Jurassic Park.
Oh, yes. And who are we talking to?
Doug Stewart, president of the Libertarian Christian Institute. He had us on back in April, and many of our listeners first heard us there, actually. And we finally made our schedules line up so that he could join us for his favorite movie of all
He
time.
dipped this movie back when we talked to him.
That's right.
Yeah, and we saved
That's
it for him.
right.
It was a wonderful conversation. We've already recorded that episode.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful conversation. I'm excited for you guys to hear it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's a very iconic movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
So,
fun.
Join us next week.
He's a great guest.
And if you haven't yet, check us out on Patreon. It's the best and easiest way to support us. To continue us growing and doing cooler and better and movier things.
Yeah, you can hear our monthly Off 250 show. And then also linked below is our merchandise where you can support us while also getting an immediate kickback from supporting us, including a limited time Cassie Sinchok art of us as the cover of
Clockwork Orange.
Thank you. Oh, man. I've been brain farting all night.
Yeah, it smells in here.
From me thinking too hard.
From all the brain farts. Yeah. That's what we'll go with. Yeah.
Good night,
Thank you,
folks.
listeners. See you later. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did.
If you found value in what we discussed today, please consider leaving us a rating and review. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode.
If you have any feedback or suggestions, we would love to hear from you.
That's right. Tell us why we're wrong.
If you want even more content and ways to engage with us and each other, check out our Patreon page.
By supporting us there, you'll get access to exclusive bonus content and help us continue to create high-quality episodes, as well as help pay for our future plans. Links to our social media, merchandise, and Patreon are in the show notes.